Hello and welcome to the rejuvenated, revitalised new game plus 3 more years of television for us. Unfortunate for you, I think, but that's we're still gonna we don't make you watch us. Don't have to. You should.
But we still haven't paid off this desk yet either.
The desk is expensive, so we got to pay the desk somehow. My name is Jason. I'm joined today by Donald and Matt as we discuss Game of the Half Year. It has been an interesting year for a lot of reasons. Probably one of the most interesting trends of the last 6 months, and this is one that it goes straight to you, Donald, when we discuss what you consider to be your game of the half year, is did you feel comfortable paying $130 for a video game?
At this point, it's basically a sunk cost, considering I already did the thing that you shouldn't do and buy a console in first year, in this case, the PlayStation 5.
We still think you're lying. We still think that nobody has PS5s and it's all just an elaborate marketing campaign, because it wouldn't be their stupidest marketing campaign. So,
let's just keep the ruse going for at least the next 4 or 5 minutes, shall we? As we talk about Returnal, the roguelite third-person sci-fi shooter from Housemarque that is one of the exclusive titles for PlayStation 5. And to be honest, even though it sort of speaks to me on quite a few levels in that it is a roguelite, so that it already has my attention. But the fact of the matter is,
you're a sucker for roguelites.
Yeah, it does. I did not expect to fall for this game as much as I did. I expected it just to be a bit of a sci-fi lark, and I'll just have a couple of runs, whatever. I end up basically seeing the game through to its true ending in the space of say as many sittings as it took me. So
Stockholm syndrome.
A little bit. I'm not going to deny that. But just the fact of the matter is, the moment-to-moment combat, just the running around feels good, and the combat with the variety of guns on offer and just the pace that it moves at, the fact that you're constantly moving around the environment to try and flank your enemies to try to avoid their bullet hell attacks, basically. It just the moment-to-moment combat is engaging unlike many other games that I've played this year.
So the only thing I would say, looking at it aesthetically, it gives me real Prometheus vibes.
It is absolutely Prometheus.
Very H.R. Geiger, isn't it?
Yeah,
very inspired.
It's Prometheus by way of Geiger, and obviously there was always that crossover, but it's leaning into that. Yeah, I don't know. As soon as I remember seeing the trailers for it, I just felt like, it looks like that exact kind of dark world where.
And you're not wrong. Especially with the narrative, because there is a narrative here. As it tries to have this mystery of why Celine is in this loop of her on this alien planet. Why is her 20th century house on this wilderness-like alien planet? Why?
Because that's not her beautiful house.
Yeah, it's not a beautiful car. Why is there this astronaut that seems to be stalking her this entire time? The game does set up quite a high bar for itself, and I'd argue that the ending doesn't quite get there, in that it's a little too ambiguous and vague for its own good. Yeah. And even then, you could say in the roguelite elements, it's not entirely there either, because the parasites, which apparently are supposed to give you a benefit, but at what cost, they aren't really that well implemented. There's just no real reason to introduce them. The guns, as good as some of the guns are, it just means that a bunch of the other guns are redundant.
So the Borderlands problem.
Yeah. Except there are only 8 guns here, as opposed to 8 gazillion guns, or whatever the number is Randy Pitchford likes to push.
Well, speaking of random guns you probably won't use, Carter, you did the review for Hitman 3.
I think it was a mixture of both myself and Jamie, or a few.
No, I did the review. I'm an idiot.
Nailed it.
I think the old man, we need to put him out the pasture, I think.
No, it was Cardi in a Jason costume who snuck into the studio.
Yeah.
What is this, like a Sherlock Holmes mystery now? Whatever.
Yes, no, I did the review for it. I feel like it does the thing where especially with Hitman 3, it leans into these individual stories of the map. So Blood Money always had that. You're at the opera, there's a certain way to complete the map. You're in suburban America, there's a certain way to complete the map. You're at the vineyard in South America, there's a certain way to complete the map. This just double leans into it. You've got the full Agatha Christie kind of.
Oh, the murder mystery at the mansion. Yes.
And then you've got Berlin's unique system where it's,
Berlin was just straight up on-site procurement. It is probably the most Metal Gear Solid the series has ever gone into, and I love just how each single case or each single level has its own little gimmick or has its own little kind of style of play, and then afterwards, obviously, once you start unlocking more stuff, you can kind of play it your way.
Yeah, and I feel like 1 and 2. If nothing else, obviously we've had number 1 and 2 being re-released in the new engine. They were more traditional here's your level, here's these unique ways to do it, here's these cool little things. But they've never lent into it quite as hard as they have in this one. Like this just gave up the pretense. Like the murder mystery that you're solving has absolutely nothing to do with the assassination you're there to carry out. Like you can solve the mystery and then you still have to go and assassinate the target.
But solving the mystery just gives you the assassination on a plate. But also I like to imagine that Agent 47, he knows he doesn't have to go through the mystery, but he's seen so much ridiculous stuff already that, you know what, a murder mystery, why not? Let's do this.
My friends are dying, I've been betrayed, but you know what, I've just got time to solve these rich people.
That's what I'm saying, like, honestly, if it's anything that The Sopranos has taught us, it's that, you know, we want closure, and you know, that discussion around that. And I think with the Hitman, with Hitman 3 in particular, at least this trilogy, where first, you know, there's a little bit of stumbling. Hitman 2, they kind of figure out what they want to do, but the third one, this is basically every single level, aside from, I'd say, the final level is a masterclass in design. Obviously, with the verticality of the first level, you've got the Agatha Christie mystery, the Berlin, where you got to do on-site procurement, and it's a bit more kind of open-ended. I feel that everything lands really well, except, obviously the ending kind of sticks very similar to Returnal. The fact is that it's a lot more kind of linear in scope, but it feels like a bit of a cop-out because it just kind of feels like everything's just kind of building to a crescendo.
It does
kind of
feel like it's the most linear that the game has ever gotten. Like it's basically a sneak preview of the James Bond game that IO Interactive is
I feel like it's a resume.
It's almost Absolution to a degree. Absolution tier kind of.
It's good Absolution.
Yeah.
Like it was. I enjoyed playing it because I definitely did not enjoy playing Absolution. But Absolution was, the problem was it would funnel you down pathways.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like I played this along with my Romanian partner watching, and she was also a little bit angry that, you know, it wasn't like in Arad or in like a big like massive castle. But I guess the Agatha Christie mystery kind of feels that niche.
Look, with that all in mind, I think it is another person who really did enjoy Hitman 3 as a video game, Jamie, and he's here to tell you why he felt that way about it.
You could read Hitman 3 as just being more of the same, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It builds upon a really great foundation where now Hitman 3 has some of the best level design in the series, a really great sense of scale, and some just really great scenarios. Like there's one now where you're taking part in the British murder mystery, and it's actually way more involved than you'd think it would be. But kind of the thing that really sells Hitman 3 is that it's possibly one of the best examples of how to do a trilogy in video games. Much like with Hitman 2, you can bring in the levels from previous Hitman games to this one complete package. Realistically now, you could just buy Hitman 3, buy the old levels, having never played a Hitman game before, and you'd get a complete experience. And that's something I can't say about a lot of other games right now. If anything, kind of the worst part about Hitman 3 is that it's a game that does require an online connection. It's constantly pinging a server, and that's kind of really not that great. But for the most part, it's still a rad video game. It's one of the games, it's possibly the best game I've played of the year so far. Maybe that changes, who knows? But right now, there's not really that much that can really beat Hitman 3 for me. So if you haven't played it already, go play it. I can't wait to see what Interactive are doing with their next game. It's a James Bond game, which that's going to be really, really exciting to see what they can do with that than they can do from here.
Now, continuing our Game of the Half-Year conversations, and it is an interesting year to have a Game of the Half-Year conversation. There's been, obviously, COVID, and lots of developers are not exactly pumping out the games that they were. A lot of stuff would have been delayed. For sure, we'll never know those internal workings, unless you're Capcom, of course, and then every single one of your internal workings was made public because you got hacked and ransomwared and didn't pay the ransom, and they released it all. But with that said, there are still some serious Game of the Half-Year contenders, despite what everyone may say.
I wish I got racked like Capcom did. Racked.
Your game that you want to discuss, Mr. Jack, is, of course, Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury.
Yes, some people think it's pronounced Bowser's Fury, but I think those people should probably go to church, see a doctor, take your pick. But
I mean,
who does love Burrow? Like, yeah.
That's a separate conversation. But no, so Bowser's Fury is really the core of what this game is. Like 3D World feels very tried and tested and comfortable and safe, and like it's paced well, and they mix it up enough with Captain Toad, which is really, really awesome and fun, and I love talking about Captain Toad. But the platforming itself in 3D World, sure, like it's tight, it's good, but it's nothing like, I don't think people are going to be buying this for 3D World. like unless you're like one of those houses that like unless you live in a share house with a Wii U, that's
got
literally the
kids.
sort
Yeah.
of bar.
Like, yeah.
True.
It's for the people who unironically play Mario Party.
That's such a foreign concept to me. But no, so Bowser's Fury is really where I think they've brought a lot of new ideas, where they've got the inventory of different power-ups, so you can bounce back and forth between like the cat suit and like the boomerang and the fire flower and all that kind of stuff. But the world itself is really the star. The platforming feels pretty similar to 3D World and Odyssey, but being able to go around each of the different areas and have the varied challenges that you would expect in any Mario game. But it feels almost more next gen, like it feels more mature than Odyssey did, where Odyssey in some ways kind of played it safe.
Well, 3D World was always that kind of bridge game for families, for one of the 4-player co-op.
Just get a Mario.
It was also like originally a game. It was like based off Super Mario 3D Land, which was basically a 3DS exhibition piece.
It was just a tech. It was a
like
tech demo. Let's be real.
I end up playing through all of Mario 3D World again because like it's just good solid Mario platforming, albeit not, as you say, nothing spectacular,
No.
but also like Bowser's Fury, like they really buried the lead with that one because
For
this
real.
is almost a sneaky preview of what Mario in an true open world could be like. Because Odyssey, you still had hub worlds.
Yeah.
And the Super Mario 64, which is kind of what this game can be compared to, you still have loading screens.
Yeah, like it's a very distinct cut between different levels, right? And that's the same with Sunshine, it sort of blurred the lines a little bit, but that was more of a stylistic choice than anything else. Galaxy was just flat out like level 1, level 2, level 3, whatever else. This is just, you've got this huge open area. Sure, a lot of it's ocean, so they're kind of
a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, they're baby steps, right? Like the Switch, in terms of the hardware, you can only do so much. And I'm going to be honest, in portable mode with the game, you're running at 30 FPS.
Oof, yeah.
On TV, for a 3D Mario game, it's like, okay. On TV mode, you're running at 60-ish. So you can tell that they're really trying to push the envelope as far as they can. And they've done a pretty good job, but I'm looking forward to where a lot of the polish comes in, because all of the ideas are there and the execution is pretty flawless, but the scope isn't there for a big original 3D Mario game.
Well,
That's what I'm
is
excited
technically
for.
just an add-on that was basically, well, here's this game we had that didn't do well. Didn't do well. The console didn't do well.
No.
And we've found a way to use that engine and those mechanics in a wider scope. So
It's the lessons learned from Odyssey in a way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it feels like that's the case.
The love child between 3D World and Odyssey, and honestly, just do that and bigger and better.
There's just no,
That's what I want.
it's just missing the song from Odyssey though.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
It needs better tracks. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
That's-
Speaking of the, forget the segue. Doesn't
I was like, how are we going to?
Yeah.
Biomutant is a game that wasn't, I wouldn't say critically panned, but it was critically meh. It was considered
From
mediocre.
THQ Nordic. THQ Nordic made a divisive
I'm
game.
an old THQ mark. I loved Destroy All Humans. I loved Saints Row. Obviously, Saints Row
Of
2
course,
is still
Saints
probably one
Row.
of my favourite games of all time. There's so much about this game, and yes, it is trying to do too much, and yes, it definitely has a problem with, like, just drag your scope back a bit, boys. Like,
Yeah.
the size of the world is huge, and it's got a weapon customization system, but I feel like there's a bit more love in this, where there's a lot of other stuff that is obviously focus tested. There's a lot of games.
It doesn't look like a kind of like, because you could have told me that this came from Ubisoft and I wouldn't have
Totally.
an
I
eyelid.
thought it was originally. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you watch the. I normally avoid watching interviews with devs and all that kind of stuff, right? Again,
You like to do it yourself.
Yeah. The problem with it is, of course, is that they expand. Like, the world is too big and there's too much going on, and as a result, the game's mechanics don't keep up. Like, if you see some of the footage from reviews and things like that of it, it's like I very quickly broke the system. Like, I got to the point where I didn't need to go find the environmental suits because I'd already maxed out the environmental kind of thing and stuff. With all of that said, I like the combat. I like the way it does super meters.
Like, it's not at a loss for the lack of balance.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, I just feel like its scope is too big. I feel like if this was the second game in the series, it would have been better. If they'd have just done the first one, it was a bit tighter, it was a bit smaller. You've got the 6 tribes, right? But you wouldn't know about those 6 tribes until so they exist, but you don't really. If you just play the straight story, you wouldn't interact with them for the first 5 to 10.
There isn't some sort of like comic book tie-in
get-
or novelization that introduces
see,
them
and
all.
that's- I mean,
give it a few years.
If we're talking about THQ memes here,
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, that was a meme for that whole era. The Xbox was doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, But so you start off and it's the Jagni and the Myriad tribe, right? So you either pick good or evil, and they're pretty straightforward interpretations of good and evil, right? And that's kind of the extent of it. But later on, you find out there's like various shades, and none of it really matters. Like, it doesn't have a direct impact on what ending you get necessarily. Like, there's a few endings, but like it's more about a personal thing. Like, who do you like the most? You can take them on, on the ship that leaves the planet and all this kind of stuff. So like, there's these interesting things that it does from a moral point of view. The footage you've just probably seen on screen, and I don't want to jinx it. You do fight a giant Cookie Monster with an Arrancar mask from, not Arrancar, Hector mask from Bleach. And to me, I
So now I see why you have this on your top of your list.
They're weird and they're ugly, but it just leans into it. Like, every character is just ugly.
Well, I was going to say as well, like, animals running around in like a post-apocalyptic wilderness. I'm like, look, if there was a little bit more copulation, that's basically Tokyo Jungle 2.
It's not, though.
Tell me that you don't love Tokyo Jungle.
I do love Tokyo Jungle 2. I wish it was a Tokyo Jungle 2. Rip Japan Studio. But I feel like Biomutant, it copped what it deserved a little bit from a lot of critics. And I get that a lot of them aren't going to like it as much as I did. But genuinely, for me, for the half year, and there's been some good games. Like, there has been some good games come out. I still feel like it's the one that I put the most time into and the most time that I went back to. Yep. And to me, that's usually a pretty good indicator of your game of the half-year game of the year is, do I want to go back to this? Do I want to play it again? Do I want to continue playing it? If I had to answer those questions honestly, it's either Biomutant or MechWarrior 5, and MechWarrior 5 doesn't count. So
that's the best we've got to go with at the moment.
Yeah. So I guess the next thing we're moving on to is, obviously Liam's always done TV and movies and board games and stuff for us. So he's going to give his his
content of the year?
Content of the half year. Coffee?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go with coffee, because I've got nothing better. Is Liam.
Now, obviously, there's been a huge amount of delays for films this year. So for my movie of the half year is not actually a movie. It's a comedy special / musical / breakdown, I guess. It's Bo Burnham's Inside. Now, I've always been aware of him, seen some stuff on YouTube, seen him in Promising Young Woman, and always meant to watch 8th Grade, but I never actually really got into him. I guess I was more of a Tim Minchin / Weird Al fan. But this special is incredible. So you basically, it's him filming a new comedy / musical special in a room during lockdown, and as he films over basically a year by himself, he's sort of slowly breaking down as the loneliness and depression of lockdown get to him, and you're watching that. It is an incredible viewing experience. It's not always that funny, but it's always pretty heartfelt, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Welcome back. It is our third segment on Game of the Half Year for our episode here in the middle of the random episode in the middle of the year now that we've been continued on. One game that I know Jack is super excited for.
Just ecstatic.
No, the one game that I feel needs to be discussed for Game of the Half Year contention is Guilty Gear Strive. Guilty Gear Strive, of course, Guilty Gear is known as being a very technical fighter, very over-the-top, bombastic anime fighter, Roman cancels and air guards and air throws and all these things that a lot of other games would take and do in a different way. But I feel like GG Strive is probably one of the most accessible GG games, especially compared to Xrd. Xrd is taxing to watch, let alone play.
I think in terms of Guilty Gear, I know everyone throws that around. It's like this game is a return to form for the series and things like that. But I would argue that this is a far more kind of, it's a bit more of a reimagining of Guilty Gear as a series. I think it kind of sets the record straight in terms of just everyone starts off on a clean slate. I mean, it's still quite early on in the game's release, but there's a lot less people, there's not the strange meta characters of, It's
I told you you'd like it, Jack.
I was very specifically looking out for the good-looking boys because you were like, oh, it's a fight. Like, he said all of these words that fighting game people will know about, and I'm like, these are just words. There's no meaning attached.
Some handsome boys in this game.
But that's something else.
Yeah.
And he's the weeb too, so yeah.
So as I was saying, it kind of cleans the slate where it's not like Xrd where at the end everyone just played Elfelt or Johnny.
I was like, if I see another coin flick watching an Xrd clip, I'm going to scream.
Yes, so I think it really kind of, both from a mechanical point of view and from a meta point of view, it kind of resets much like the tension gauge at the end of each round.
Plus, the fun part of it is we are still in the learning part. Like there is some stuff that everyone's like, look at these like dunk on combos I can do. It's like, yes, against a non-guarding, jumping.
Chip's enough.
Yeah, a chip. Yeah,
Please
exactly.
stop doing
Yeah,
that, please.
Like that's What's the meme? Yes, now show me the video without using chip. Like
Yeah.
And so. Again, I feel like, despite my boy Loust being, the lost character, everyone else is pretty competitive. Like there's 2 or 3 clear high ranks, but if you're good enough, you can make the other ones work.
I wouldn't discount Faust out just yet. I mean,
He needs a lot of work.
All it takes is for
2 patches,
for someone like Kazunoko to pick him up, and everyone started
exactly,
using Faust. But what I'm saying is that with Guilty Gear, there's a couple of things that it doesn't do as good as its contemporaries like Exide, where the tutorial mode and a lot of the story stuff and the offline stuff is very big.
They didn't make a deal with Namco, is how that works, because because Namco owns doing the staggered tutorials.
Yeah.
So they have to do missions instead.
And the lobby system has a lot of work to do. However, the actual core components of those games
the netcode is top tier. It's world class.
Netcode is top tier. There's a lot more focus on neutral game and everything with the new wall breaks, where it's not just corner pressure all the time.
Yeah.
If you want to go for extra meter, you can go and do and reset back to neutral and get a positive bonus, and you get more tension gauge to use for special things. But all I'm saying is that, it feels a lot different compared to other Guilty Gear games, and it doesn't feel as much of a cop-out, especially at the end of the...
Correct, yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it evolves too. Let's move on to games that we're expecting to be good. Jack, this is something where you maybe have an input. Do you want to go through your list?
I have a few. I have something very exciting to share. So I've got a few, like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and Forza Horizon 5 were the first ones that came to mind. Forza Horizon 5 is an easy pick for me, God almighty, because it's coming straight to Game Pass. Well, it's coming straight to Game Pass.
Oh, not this shit again.
So if I just Game Pass. Like, only a car cuck when I'm playing Forza. If you play Gran Turismo, do better. But like Forza Horizon, flat out, I will not stand down on this.
It's fine.
But Forza Horizon, I'm still playing for. I'm still playing. I got the DLC the other week. It's British.
Oh yeah, 3.
Figure it out.
3 is the Aussie.
Yeah. But no, it still feels fantastic, and I recently got it on PC as well. 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. But Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are the other ones as well, and it's like, I think that the visual take on Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, because I remember I was here around this time last year talking about Dungeon, trying to screw with people hoping for a Diamond and Pearl remake. This sort of gives them what they want, kind of catering to the original style.
I'm not gonna lie, whatever it's called.
For real,
one.
the one that comes out next year. So we're talking about games for the rest of this year. I'm way more excited about that Sinnoh game as well.
I think Game Freak's just gotten a little bit more cynical in terms of like, they're like, okay, I don't know what you poker fans want. You have the stupid dumb little Diamond thing remake, and then we're gonna do the Arceus one as well.
Yeah. Edgy.
Hopefully this is enough to satiate everyone.
We'll see. We'll see how Diamond and Pearl this year do. As far as some other reviews, I mean, I've spoken a little bit about Mario, and Pokemon Snap is the other really big Nintendo release this year. We've also got Metroid Dread, I believe it's called, in lieu of Metroid Prime 4, rip. If that ever materializes.
It's still happening. It has to.
Oh, one day, sure. But WarioWare get it together. Finally, a WarioWare on not on 3DS, because it came out on 3DS as Switch launched.
Yeah.
Garbage. Some of the other ones, Halo Infinite, I'll probably get because it's going to be on Game Pass. Tales of Arise, finally a Tales game after Berseria came out in 2017.
Rumors are they're all getting remade, but that's
Really?
I would take that. Azalea re-release on PC is sold. I'm pretty sure that's my list. Neo: The World Ends With You is a bit of a weird one where it just looks good, but I'm assuming the story beats will be an absolute car crash because it's Tetsuya Nomura, and I cannot trust him with anything since Kingdom Hearts 1.
He is a coin flip at this point, isn't he? I mean, remake was great, but I think the strengths based on Final Fantasy VII remake is based on the, I guess, the company he keeps around that.
The
and
team.
I think Katase is the glue that's keeping everything together before Nomura is sent to the glue factory.
So what visual novels do you want to bring up, Cardi?
Well, it depends. Ones with when you romance pixies, or I the Somnium Files, like hot off the press, got announced this morning as well. So there's actually a follow up to the game by Kataru Ushikoshi of Zero Escape fame. Very, very excited. I think that's coming out in 2022 though, because of I think they're just keeping rough estimates. No More Heroes 3 is scheduled for an August.
So that's soon, isn't
release,
it?
I'm
very keen.
so excited. I'm so excited, and Suda seems very keen on it.
And it is is nice that they're obviously doing the 3-pack as well, aren't they? I'm pretty sure they're all coming to.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. So PC releases as well, coming in the next week or so, roughly.
That's not bad.
Well, one quick one for me that hasn't been brought up, Guardians of the Galaxy. I really like what Guardians of the Galaxy did on Square. It actually looks like it's got some soul, which Avengers has never looked like for a single moment of its entire existence.
Yeah.
And they're legally distinct from their actual variants, but it still looks pretty good. I don't know.
I think it's a lot more in line with their comic counterparts as well.
Yeah.
Like Drax isn't played as the me big dumb strong man. So it seems a lot more in line with the comics.
Plus, both me and you said it, we were watching the thing, binary domain. It just reeks of binary domain.
It's very binary domain, and that's the one thing I'm kind of like, oh, hang on, there might be something here. But especially if you act like an asshole in front of everyone, no one just takes your orders.
Correct.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
But also, Shin Megami Tensei 5, it lives! I'm so excited for that too. So November, it's gonna all go down. There's a lot to look forward to. I mean, if anything, like there's not as many games coming out at the moment, but I see that as a positive, a silver lining in the sense that we actually have time to play
we've
the
got time to
games
get through
that we bought that we
Totally.
never played last year. So think about it like that.
God is dead and we're ready to kill him again.
Yes,
let's go.
On that note, don't forget to check out newgameplus.tv, all the socials at newgameplus.tv. Thank you for joining us. 3 more years, you're stuck with us.
3 more years.
3 more
Three
years.
more.
And of course, don't forget to reach out to us on socials and stuff as well. If you disagree with our picks, we'll pretend we read them, but it's it's nice to be involved. We'll see you all next time.
You meanie.